Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. Mr. Swartz, can you hear me?
Yes, barely, sir.
All right. This is Judge Middleton. This is an emergency bond violation hearing in the matter of People versus Ryan James Swartz. The file number is 221805FY. Mr. Swartz is presently an inmate in the county jail. Also present is Deborah Davis from the prosecuting attorney's office and Mr. Keith Stickley, the chief public defender. Mr. Swartz, when I left work last night, I knew that they had just issued a search warrant to search your house for the complaining witness in this case. Essentially is a welfare check for Jenni Akers. When I got to work this morning, I saw that you were in custody, but didn't know any of the details. Shared that information with the prosecutor who already knew it, and with your lawyer, Mr. Tim George, who did not. So we attempted to get Mr. George here. He went home ill. He is ill, and he asked if we could have the chief public defender, Mr. Stickley, here to help cover. So the chief public defender is here and is available for consultation and discussion in a breakout room if necessary. You were charged in this principal case, file 221805, with assault with intent to commit great bodily harm by strangulation, assault with a dangerous weapon, a rifle, and domestic violence. And I noted they did not charge the felony firearm charge. I couldn't find any affidavit or bond information. Oh, wait a minute, there's the affidavit. And this is alleged to have occurred on August 22nd of 2022. They have a 911 tape and some body mic and some other stuff. So the charge was made and you weren't arrested, I don't think, until October 26th. And you posted a bond, and the magistrate ordered several bond conditions. No alcohol, no contact whatsoever with Jenni Akers, including text, emails, or letters, or any other contact. No weapons, must not possess firearms or any dangerous weapons or reside where they are present. And no assaulting behavior. Ms. Davis, what's the circumstance here?
Your Honor, the allegations for the bond violation are that there was a firearm in his possession. We do have a picture of the .22 caliber firearm. The concern, I don't have a full report from the troopers yet because this just did happen yesterday evening, but they did send me the pictures. They sent me the bond violation report. I think also very concerning is that it's alleged that Mr. Swartz lied to the court. I understand he wasn't under oath, but he lied about not having seen his children since the time he was in jail, which would have been 10/27 of 2022. However, the troopers followed up with the older child's school and were advised that the child has been attending school in Marcellus and has been dropped off and using the bus system from the Cranberry Lake Road address. And that child was in fact dropped off on the bus while the troopers were there, directly contradicting the things that Mr. Swartz had told them about the children, including that he told the trooper while he was there with his younger child and the other child hadn't been dropped off on the bus yet, that his sister-in-law, Jenni's sister, who he has no contact information for, had dropped off the children just a day or two prior. So again, the trooper was very concerned about the contradicting information given to him about the contact with the children. And last that we were aware, mother was the one who had the children in her care. So the fact that mother is now missing and the Michigan State Police are searching for her, taking action as a missing person to try to locate her. Nobody that we can identify has had any contact with her in at least a week. Which is unusual for her family. So if there was no information given by the defendant to the Michigan State Police regarding where her whereabouts might be, in court, he had stated he believed she was down in Ohio with her mother, with the children, which is found to be untrue. Mother has said she's not down there. The kids are not down there. And in fact, the children were with Mr. Swartz during that time. So we have very strong concerns about what's going on in this case, why the complaining witness has disappeared, has not been in contact with anyone, and that the defendant has a firearm in his home. He
Don't
had the
worry,
children
Mr.
with
Swartz,
him.
I'll give you a chance to speak, but you may want to consult with your lawyer first.
So with all of this in mind, we would ask that in the interest of public safety and the safety of our victim, that bond be canceled at this time until we can locate this victim, make sure that she is safe and well. I think that there's certainly the information contained in the search warrant affidavit to try to find Miss Akers in that home. Is my understanding also the vehicle that she typically would use was at that Cranberry Lake address. So her phone rings, but it goes to voicemail. It has not gone straight to voicemail yet, to my understanding, but nobody can reach her via text or phone call. And to our knowledge, no one has spoken with her in about a week.
All right, Mr. Swartz, we were here on Tuesday. This matter's been adjourned twice while the police have been attempting to secure the presence of the complaining witness, or at least get some input from her. I was informed that they had received a letter that purports to be from Jenni Akers. Ms. Davis, you included in your petition a police report from June of 2022. That's not part of the instant case.
No,
Now, just a second, Mr. Swartz, this is a bond violation hearing, and as such, the strict rules of evidence do not apply, and there is the availability of the admissibility of some hearsay evidence. That is a police report from the Michigan State Police dated June 20th of 2022 in incident number 54002779-22. That you put that in there because there's an allegation that he assaulted her with a firearm at that time?
yes, Your Honor. Again, showing the pattern of behavior that is alleged to be Mr. Swartz's behavior and control toward this woman. I did also just get emailed to me a report regarding what had happened yesterday. It hasn't been reviewed by the trooper, but I can review it quickly. I mean, it certainly just kind of supports everything that I've verbally said on the record as far as the interviews with the victim's mother, the child's school.
All right, so we've got alleged earlier incident involving the firearm in June, where the victim basically said nothing happens and I don't want to prosecute. The incident that is charged presently is alleged to have occurred on August 22nd. It involves strangulation and alleged use of a firearm. So the magistrate, as we always do, order no assaultive behavior, no firearms, and no contact. Mr. Swartz told me here in the courtroom that he has not had any contact with his children since the date of his arrest
With
in
my youngest son.
September. Stop. That's what you said. I asked if you knew where your wife was, and you said she was with her mother in Mount Orab, Ohio. If I understand correctly from the pleadings, stop. They contacted her mother, and her mother says, she isn't here. I haven't heard from her. I can't get a hold of her. I don't have her, and I don't have the children. So the state police, in attempting to see perhaps if there'd been a change of school or something to help locate the mother, went to the Marcellus schools, and they were informed the children had been being dropped off at your address on Cranberry Lake Road. And so I guess they went there yesterday, and Deborah, did they actually see one of the children being dropped off?
Yes, Your Honor. When the troopers arrived there, the younger child was with Mr. Swartz, and he again told the troopers that he said, basically saying, "You must have misunderstood me in court. I didn't say that. I just hadn't seen my other child." And with that, the other child then got dropped off from
Okay.
the bus at that Cranberry Lake address. Also concerning and looking at this is the rifle that was located was in plain view on top of a gun safe in the property. I'm not sure if the troopers were able to get into that gun safe to see if there were other firearms. This is something that was in plain view.
That's a question I have. This firearm is pink, which would lead me to believe that it's a woman's gun, but
It's my
nonetheless-
daughter's.
All
And
right,
I guess regardless, it was within 10 feet of his bed in the main bedroom. Other concern, though, is that whoever he called to come pick up his children when he was getting arrested, it was reported to be his father, but my understanding is his
my
father
stepfather.
is deceased.
It's my
All
stepdad.
right, well,
thank you.
stop. I'll give you a chance to talk, but I want you to have a chance to talk to your attorney later. One of the questions I wrote down when I first saw this is what's in the safe?
I don't believe that they got into the safe, Your Honor.
Well, we didn't have a search warrant to enter the safe.
No, they were looking for a person. So at that
They
point,
didn't- they had a-
unless she's in the safe, they didn't have the
So-
authority to look in
I
it.
have that question. So presumably the defendant knows how to get in the safe, and it's a gun safe and it's for storage of guns. So if it's locked from everybody but him, that's not good. Secondly, I was interested in who, and don't answer this, who's watching the children while he's here? While he's at work, while he's at court, while he's elsewhere. So,
That's my concern.
but what you said to me is I have not seen my kids since the day I got arrested. So that was not true. You also have a specific order not to use or possess any firearms. There is an allegation that before this strangulation allegation in August, you assaulted the same complaining witness with a firearm.
No, sir.
And the children are apparently with you. We've been unable to personally serve Jenni Akers, the complaining witness. I know that Mr. Marvin was very concerned about this, contemplated getting a warrant for failing to appear pursuant to a duly served subpoena, but upon further review, it didn't appear that it had actually been served upon her. Now, no one seems to know where she is. And there's a concern about that. So, Mr. Swartz, I'm going to let you talk privately with Mr. Stickley before you blurt something out that might be problematic. So you're going to hit the button that says join the breakout room. All right, Mr. Swartz is back with us. Mr. Swartz, don't say anything yet. I'm going to inquire of your attorney. Mr. Stickley, what's the circumstance here?
Your Honor, it's my understanding that the defendant would apologize for having a firearm in his area or his control. So I don't know if we want to take testimony on that or whatever. He apologizes, and he does want the court to know through me that there is a safe there that apparently has belonged to his now deceased actual father. There's a father and a stepfather. He wants the court to know that they're not the same people. So there's no confusion. Stepfather is alive. Father is not alive. He is not totally sure of what the contents of that is because he does not have access to it. He has no problem whatsoever with law enforcement or whatever removing that if they have to. He doesn't have access to it. That's probably why there was a daughter's firearm on top and not inside. He does not have access to it. As far as anything else that was brought up, he doesn't really know, but he suggests that the people or anybody who's interested in the woman's whereabouts might want to contact her father, because he believes that if she's not with her mother in Ohio, that she would probably be with her father in Pennsylvania, who's just undergone a couple of surgeries.
I have some questions. And I'm asking you, Mr. Stickley, and then we'll
Yes,
see
Your
where they. At what point did the children go back to the Cranberry Lake address?
Your Honor, I did not ascertain that. I don't know that if he has any position on that. And if it wasn't taken as testimony, I really don't know, Your Honor.
All right. And who's watching the children while he is gone?
I would have to address that, Your Honor. I did not.
All right.
I would also, if you're going to go back,
Let me ask one more. Deborah, you referred to a car that she usually uses. Which vehicle is that?
it was a full-size, I believe, gray Chevy Silverado pickup truck.
So the question is, if she doesn't have that, what is she using for transportation?
Correct.
All right, Deborah, you had another question?
Yes, there were allegations by the complaining witness that there were multiple firearms that the defendant owns: handgun, long guns, assault rifle, and then of course ammunition. And if they're not in that gun safe, we would like to know where they're at, because it's my understanding that they were not taken on the night of the day of the first incident. They were missing from where Ms. Akers had described the gun that he had, it was alleged to have held up and threatened her with, was not there at the residence anymore once the officers searched it. So there are firearms that may be in his possession, or maybe he gave them to somebody to hold on to, but certainly a lot of concerns about that.
I think you can let him answer this. Mr. Swartz, how long have you lived at this house?
I lived there with my dad before he passed since 2018.
When did you live there? Since 2002? And did you all live there together at one time?
Yes, me and my dad, Jenni Akers, the two children. Yes, in 2018, I moved into that farmhouse with my dad to help him out.
When did your dad pass?
He passed Black Friday 2021.
All right. I'm gonna let you talk to Mr. Stickley again. Here's my questions. How long have the children been at that address? Who watches the children when you're gone? And how did they get there? There's some representation that her sister brought them there. And what's the story on this truck? And where are your firearms? I'm not compelling you to answer any of those. Those are just the questions that I have. Yes.
And Your Honor, with all due respect to Madam Prosecutor in the court, if we're in a bond violation hearing and the allegation that it is that he possessed something or did something that he didn't, I would totally understand the line of questioning and concern. However, this seems much more like some sort of an interrogation.
Well, at this point, the prosecutor moved on Tuesday to cancel or increase his bond. And in about 2 minutes, she's going to ask me to cancel his bond.
Yeah.
He has a preliminary examination scheduled for December 20th, I believe it is. And he doesn't have to answer them, but I'm going to speculate as to what they are. And I'm going to be inclined to grant her motion to cancel his bond. He doesn't have to answer anything, but I've got those questions, and this is a public safety concern. So he doesn't have to answer it, but it will certainly strengthens the prosecution's position to cancel the bond. So you're right. This isn't an inquest. He's not compelled to say anything. That's why I didn't ask him anything. I went it through you first. So if you don't want him to answer it, fine. But he lied to me from about 15 feet away when he looked me in the eye and told me he had not seen his kids since October, when they were in fact living at his house that very day. So what else isn't he telling me the truth about? I don't know. So if you don't need any further consultation, I'll just let Ms. Davis make her motion. Ms. Davis?
Your Honor, I believe that he admitted that he had a firearm. I don't care if it's pink, purple, blue, black, whatever. He admitted he had a firearm. It was in his possession, in his bedroom, on top of a gun safe that he claims he doesn't have access to, even though he's been living in the house, and presumably the gun safe has been there since at least a year ago when his father deceased. I strongly feel that his bond needs to be canceled until such time as we can have the preliminary exam. I hate to even say this, but whether we have Ms. Akers here or not, we will go forward with the preliminary exam using the court rules allowable for the hearsay exceptions. I believe that this is a huge public safety risk. He's a flight risk with what has gone on here. He may not stick around. The weapons that are alleged to have been in his control the date that this happened, we have no idea where those weapons are. This is, if the victim is still in this area, she is at great risk of harm, in my opinion, based on what we have seen here. And we would ask that the court cancel his bond until we can have the preliminary examination held, and then they can readdress it at that point. Thank you.
Mr. Stickley, what's your position?
Your Honor, the defendant greatly regrets that he did have a firearm in that house in his possession. He apologizes to court for that. He absolutely promises to show up for his court hearings. He does not feel like he is any sort of a threat to the community. Wants to be there for his children in whatever appropriate way he can. So we ask that bond be reset.
Thank you. As I indicated, Mr. Swartz, I can use hearsay. What I'm reviewed here is the affidavit for the search warrant that was prepared by Trooper Andrew Librecht, Librecht, yesterday, 12/8. And that was as much of a welfare check as it was search for evidence, but I've got that. Ms. Davis has filed a bond violation affidavit, also signed by Trooper Librecht, regarding the facts of last night. She also included a police report of Monday, June 20th, 2022, which is alleges an assault by you on Jenni Akers with a firearm. I'm also considering the original charge contained in file 221805FY and the affidavit of probable cause that accompanies that. I also reviewed the original bond conditions order prepared by the magistrate and my interaction with you on Tuesday. Ms. Davis at that time asked me to increase or cancel the bond, and you have made every court appearance. You have been here every time you were supposed to be, but this is no longer a fear of you not appearing. This is a public safety issue. And we don't know where this woman is, and they've been looking for a month. They have spoken to her, but no one's heard from her in the last 7 days. Her phone doesn't ring. Her vehicle is parked at your house. Her mother doesn't know where she is unless she's a bold-faced liar. And I don't know what the kids know or what else is known, but for the interest of public safety, your bond is canceled. We will review it further at the time of your preliminary examination on December 20th. Mr. George would have liked to have been here. The outcome would have been the same. I don't have anything else to say, Mr. Swartz. I'll see you on November 20th.
Thank you, Your
Deborah,
Honor.
I'll do an official order to that effect.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stickley, for helping us with this.
Yep.
Let's hope we have a good outcome of this and you guys can find her. There was an indication that her sister dropped the kids off. Have they interviewed that person?
Yes.
All right, there's a lot of unknowns here, and Mr. Stickley's probably correct. This isn't an inquisition, but the unknowns do not inure to his benefit. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that finishes that. I'm gonna do an order. He's gonna remain in custody until we figure out what the circumstance is.